But I was told in Brazil when I was there, at one of the large universities, adjacent to one of the endless favelas of Sao Paulo, that the bodies unclaimed in this endless shantytown adjacent to the university, without next of kin, are sometimes made available to the medical school, as hers was. In a system whereby, as I say, for 14 days, up to 14 days, it can be retained in formalin tanks before dissection teams get to it, or her, and work with her for 2 days. I can add that the dissection classes were in the afternoons, so her body would be active in this training for 2 days, 2 afternoons. As you can perhaps tell, I worked in the morning of the second day, such that after the first afternoon, the team had loosely closed her to be able to resume later the next day. As she ended her 48-hour period of usefulness, following her up to 14-day wait in formalin tanks. This whole notion, of course, of the poorest of the poor. She also has evident Indian background, Brazilian Indian background in her. While in this case, the daughters, the entire dissection team is female. They all, I learned, I was a little surprised at their look, and asked, I learned that they were 18 years old in their first semester of med school. So that 6 months earlier, they were high school students. Sao Paulo's upper class kids, those trained in medicine, of course, in that society of extreme wealth and poverty. Upper class children, girls in this case, freshman high school, were working very zealously, very calmly, and quietly over this woman's body. It was moving, it was haunting to know the very poorest of us all, in this case that woman, provided herself in this way, or was provided. It disturbs, it moves, it's the way things are in that city at this time. I hope this gives you something.
And I actually had another somewhat related question. Have you ever sought out the family of the deceased, or has the family ever sought out you after having discovered one of your photographs of their loved ones? I'm just curious if that has ever been a kind of connection.
Oh, I mean, the briefest, simplest answer is no. But you'll notice it always plays, the answer sort of plays into history too. In this case, it could not happen, as an instant sense. And in many other cases of anatomical preparations that mostly stopped prior to World War II, the art of the anatomist in terms of the virtuoso preparation and display, ostensibly for medical students training. Very often as well, it was a tour de force. It was a young anatomist's signature statement of medical skill, dexterity, magnificence in his ability, in his deftness. Pedro Ara would eventually befriend Juan Perón, not as the only anatomist available for Evita's preservation in Argentina, but because of his bravura works, his bravura remains. But all that peaked actually in the 19th century, ended, it seems, previous to World War II. So I'm working in what's left in Europe of bombed out university faculties, whose bombed out collections only retain a few elements and specimens in a time when now it's 60, 70 years beyond the end of virtuoso anatomical preparation. You've heard my colleagues say that when bodies are used today, it's in a classroom, it's for learning purposes, it's not for preservation. So all the remains I work with are from ancient times, and thus I'm so far beyond contact that haunts and moves me too.
Sorry, we have to leave. We have a service. And we got to make some money. But anyways, nice to thank you.